If you shower or brush your teeth or try to make your hair look presentable, here's some good news. Dollar Shave Club has a lot of stuff to help you out. Dollar Shave Club delivers everything you need to look, feel, and smell your best. Shampoo, conditioner, body wash, toothpaste, hair gel, even a wipe that leaves your tush feeling tingly clean. All of Dollar Shave Club's products are made with top-shelf ingredients that won't break your budget. You'll feel the difference. Plus, shipping is free with your membership. And here's a great way to try a bunch of Dollar Shave Club's products for just $5. You can get their Daily Essential Starter Set. It comes with Body Cleanser, One Wipe Charlie's, their amazing butt wipes, and their world-famous shave butter. And their best razor, the 6-Blade Executive. Keep the blades coming for a few more bucks a month and add in a shampoo, toothpaste, or anything else you need. Check it all out at dollarshaveclub.com/Chad. That's dollarshaveclub.com/Chad.
Independent in thought and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
There's a major precondition. CNN has obtained a letter addressed to the Senate Judiciary Chair that says Professor Ford wants to testify, but she wants the FBI to investigate first. Now, there's a plus minus here. On the plus side, you could say it's a boost to her credibility. Who wants the feds digging into something that they're lying about? On the negative side, it smacks of politics because this is what the Democrats have been pushing for as well.
I have no idea what even that means. Here's what's happening. I don't think she wants to testify. You can dig all you want, but the feds are... Here's the thing. It's easy to say I want the FBI to look into all of this because you know the FBI doesn't look at... This is not a federal crime. They said if there's a federal crime, let us know. And the only other way this could happen is if Donald Trump says, I want you to investigate in this. Donald Trump's not going to say, I want you to investigate into this. So now you've got, well, she's not going to testify unless. So she's not going to come. This is it. She's not. I don't think she's going to show up. Even if they hold the hearings in her house, closed doors, speaking softly, I doubt she wants the hearings. And I wonder if she signed up for all of this, right? I mean, you say for a second, I think this guy's a bad guy. He did something to me. I think the world should know, but I don't know if the really world should. So anonymously, you send a letter saying, you know, hey, check this out. And then this gets on to Dianne Feinstein. It's there for a few months. Now, you've put yourself into this situation. You were the one. You were the one. You felt like the world needed to know this, what a horrible human being he was back in the day, blah, 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 blah. So there you go. You do it. You had to have known there was going to be something. You had to have known there was going to be some blowback. You had to have known some of those things, right? Like you didn't know that there was going to be somebody pushing back on the other side. And what kind of investigation? So what are they going to do? Are they going to investigate the crime scene? I don't know if you're aware of this, but the potential crime scene has probably been tainted by now. So they're probably not going to do that. They're not going to. I mean, I'm curious as to what the FBI is going to do. Just anybody would enlighten me. I would love to hear what they are going to do. It's all about a stall tactic. But it's also, I'm telling you what, it starts to make the left look pretty damn ridiculous. And this is the ends justify the means situation here. And it's not right. If he's done something wrong, we should know about it and he should be disqualified. But that's a big if. Sending an anonymous letter then somehow becomes public because somebody wants to use it as a political assassination and they go about doing these kind of things. And then all of a sudden it stirs up all this controversy and you want to have your say. Kavanaugh wants to speak. And then everybody's like, well, she needs to have a voice. Well, like, we're going to do it here. Monday, we've offered her this time. And now there's preconditions like the FBI needs to get involved. And the FBI said, we're not getting involved. And I'll see, well, now she can't do it. And this is why, because of, patriarchy and all this kind of stuff that they're going to throw out there. And it's a man's world and blah, blah, blah. The reality is it's been a stall tactic. She's being used. Whether this happened or not, doesn't really matter to Dianne Feinstein. I mean, I'm sure she'd go, oh, that's horrible and sad and blah, blah, blah. But her ends justify the means. is they don't want this guy to be on the court. And you got to ask yourself, is this what we're coming to right now?
Here we are 26 years later, and Feinstein is now wielding that hatchet. This is not a search for the truth. It is not a desire for justice. This is a political assassination of Judge Kavanaugh.
That's Tammy Bruce right there talking about it. It is a political assassination. It absolutely is. 100%. It's a political assassination, especially if you're not going to go through with everything. And at this point in time, remember, you inserted yourself in this. You want everybody to believe you. And I'm not saying he did or didn't do this because I don't know. I wasn't there. I told you guys 1,000 times. I don't know if any of you were there. If any of you were there, I will give you my entire radio show to talk about this. If any of you were there. But I doubt the phones will ring or I'll get tweets or text because none of us were there. So now we say, all right. So it's her word versus his word. And you want the FBI to become CSI on the old television there and show up and do what from 35 years ago and a high school age experience that he said didn't happen and you said did happen, and there's no way for us to verify either of your stories. So now what? Right? Now what?
And the issue becomes here not, and this is what's awful for all of us, frankly, who've worked to have women be taken seriously on issues of violence against women, domestic violence, rape, harassment, is that we've demanded that and said and asserted that women can be taken seriously, and they should be. And yet now, we don't know what happened 36 years ago, but we do know what happened in July. And from that point forward, this has been a politicized framework. This woman's experience has been packaged as a weapon. And this is what we've promised the American people as feminists, that would not happen.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's what it is. So now what? I think it's a fair question. Now what? What's going to happen? Well, I think if she doesn't show up Monday, they're going to just proceed as they can. Because there's nothing you can do. If you know that there's not going to be an investigation, and that's the only prerequisite, is you have to have investigation by the FBI before. What if the FBI goes there today, said, we've talked to her, we've talked to him, we don't see any reason for us to move forward. Then what? I'm just curious. You know, as I've talked to people off air and people, not only through the Twitters first and all this kind of stuff, and they're like, she's telling the truth. I'm like, how do you know? Because what? Because she's a woman? Because you don't like him? I'm not saying he's telling the truth. I'm not saying she's telling. And I don't know. How do you know? Because you want it to be so? Because you don't like his politics, his beliefs? That doesn't count. Sorry. Let's go. I'm going on facts over feelings. The facts are none of us are going to be able to prove or disprove that these things didn't happen. So it's going to be left up for debate. But if your only reason for not coming is because you want the FBI, which says it doesn't do these kind of things, if the only reason is that's why I'm not showing up, then what now? Then what now? I think it is a fair question to ask. And I think you not showing up and you not coming out there, even though, remember, you inserted yourself, Dr. Ford. You decided to write. You contacted somebody. You went to Stanford Law School. You had them craft a letter. You sent it off to somebody who passed it off to Dianne Feinstein, who then decided that in the 11th hour she was going to release this information, having talked to him on a few occasions when she could have brought it up right then and there. You sideswiped not only him and the whole thing and the process, even some of your fellow Democrats. And now the person that this was about, you're making up excuses why she can't come. Well, she's going to be attacked. She's going to be this. Let me tell you something. Remember, there's two sides to the story. Often we forget about that. He has a right to defend himself, just like she has a right to say, this is what happened to me. So now what? I'm just curious. Now what is going to happen? She deserves an investigation. Who's going to investigate?
Yes, there should be due process for everyone involved. And I think that's what Dr. Ford is asking for. She's asking for due process. She's asking that there be an investigation. You know, at the end of the investigation, she might very well decide not to pursue her willingness to testify. She might say, well, you know, there's no way to ever prove it. Who knows what she might decide.
That's Hillary Clinton there. She wanted to be president, but the American people said, nah, I don't think so. Due process, right? How long is this investigation? Is it 6 weeks, 6 months? What's an investigation in a cold case situation like this where there probably wasn't anything at the time, right, gathered as evidence? I mean, I'm curious about how this works. How do we go on to investigate something from X amount of years ago of a he said, she said? You sit down and talk to them for half an hour, 3 days, 5 days, 10 days. You put them under oath. I mean, what do? We don't have some sort of memory chip in our brain yet where we can just hook somebody up and go, well, look at this. We went back there. Whoa. So the question is, what now? And here's the thing. What about the people out there who've gone through real hell and are looking at this lady saying, you know what, you got to go do this. You got to do this. And then when you don't do this, you look like you've caused a stink for political gain for one side of the aisle. And now, in many ways, you've made my situation or my experience less because you look like you faked it.
It is an insult to every woman who's been sexually assaulted. For those of us who've had experiences like that, it is a remarkable dismissal of our life experience and what we've demanded from the system. And I'll just tell you, it's offensive.
Yeah, I think it potentially could be. And when you know that when you say, I want this to happen, knowing it can't happen, otherwise I'm not going to do something, you've put yourself in a situation where it's like, this is why I can't do it. Because I need this to happen before I do that. If I don't get this, I won't do that, knowing full well that is never going to happen. It's not. If you know what? If I'm Trump, I'm talking to somebody at the FBI and say, how fast can you do this? We fly you out there. You go speak with her tomorrow. You speak with Kavanaugh today. You get these things sorted out. There we go. And by Monday, we can sit down and we should have your report, right? It's not going to be 25,000 pages. How fast? Question, right? But that's the only way it's happening is if Trump says, you guys go do this. Outside of that, they're like, this is no problem. It's not a federal crime. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
While pointless pundits ponder what was, Chad wisely wonders, what's next?
I know you have a rough few days, and then it'll last a long time. Could last a long time. But you're going to have a rebuilding process, and we are behind you from day one.
That right there is the President of the United States. We forget about him when we're not debating whether or not he has an attorney general who's stabbed him in the back or there's some sort of salacious book talking about his unit. He was there today visiting the Carolinas, talking about how he and, yes, Washington is with them.
Washington is with you. Trump is with you. We are all with you 100%.
Like Trump is with you. Like he's all third person. That Trump guy's with you. That's what I heard. I don't know. They do have a long, I just talked to my buddy, and in fact, we were just IM back and forth. He's out there right now, part of the recovery efforts, and he says it's ugly. It's not as bad as last year because he did a ton of stuff during the other hurricanes, but he says it's bad, and it's that water. Very little wind damage, you know, it's the water, and it is going to be, a lot of people are going to be displaced for quite a while. And you don't realize, too, when some of these things are so big that it changes an entire demographic for cities. Like New Orleans has not been the same. It changed, and Houston swelled, and Houston's still recovering, and it's very, very interesting to see how this plays out. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Every single day at this time, we give you something. I do something because I feel that if I could do one thing throughout the day that may help you get a little bit hipper and cooler, I can pass that on to you because it's been passed on to me. I feel it is my duty. It's called the Urban Word of the Day.
It's time for the Urban Word of the Day, fam.
What? Right now?
Time to get a little more hip on the streets.
I can't understand a word you're saying.
Urban Word of the Day.
This one's interesting. Invoke. Hear a lot of people say that. I'm about to invoke my truth. You're like, what? I'm about to invoke something on you. Wait, what? Yeah, kind of to speak with power, right? To bring it. Oh, bring the power. That's one way they describe it. And a lot of times it's, I'm about to evoke my truth, which really is not always the truth. It's just your truth. But a lot of people, you'll hear this word amongst the youths of America a lot, especially when they're playing games and things like that. Invoke your urban word of the day.
Thank you for saying that in dated urban slang so that I'll understand you. That there was the Urban Word of the Day. We damn stretched your cranium.
There are 3 other people who were wounded seriously. They all were taken to hospital. We don't have an update on their conditions other than to tell you those are serious injuries.
Yes, there was 2 shootings today. One at a courthouse in Pennsylvania that was really, really ugly. The other one in Wisconsin. 4 people injured. It looks like 3 people injured in the Wisconsin one, 4 people injured, non-life-threatening in Pennsylvania. It looks like both suspects are dead. You won't hear a lot about it. You're not. You're not going to hear a lot about it. First of all, there was no terrorism involved. Secondly, not only wasn't there a mass amount of death, it just didn't fit the thing and the narrative that pushes a story, especially for the media to get behind. They hear active shooter, they get, and then there's no narrative behind this. But both of them happened today. And I was, producer Anthony's like, is there something in the air? It was one at the courthouse was very interesting. And you look at it and you think to yourself, our courthouses, don't they have, like precautions and stuff for this?
There should absolutely be somebody who is stationed outside into the waiting area to before anybody goes in to be patted down or passed through the metal detector.
Yeah, because I know the last time I went to a courthouse was for one of those jury things, and you had to go through a special line, you had to get a badge, they take all your stuff out, they wand you, they may even pat you down. It was like kind of going through the airport, and a little bit quicker. It's weird to think that you can get into court and like this sounds very like 70s and 80s. But neither of them fit a narrative that was enough to draw national attention. And that's what I always talk about when it comes to the media. I'm part of the media, but when it comes to that establishment media, something that creates a news story, it's what's not being told a lot of times that you have to pay a little bit of attention to and you have to dig for. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Walmart is doing something that I find to be interesting, and I've been screaming for it for a long time and saying they may be the ones that do it. Could they be? And Bert and Ernie. The fight is on. Super. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Who becomes the next Supreme Court justice is the decision of a lifetime. Your lifetime. Brett Kavanaugh's troubling views on the issues that matter most and his rushed confirmation process make him unfit for a lifetime appointment to the Supreme Court.
A court that decides where we can learn.
That will make decisions about how I can control my body.
A court that will decide
if our family will stay together.
This fall, your senators will vote on Kavanaugh. How they vote will impact you for a lifetime. Tell them to vote no on Kavanaugh.
That's John Legend right there, who's taking up the mantle to make sure, along with the NAACP Legal Defense and Education Fund, to, of course, vote no on Kavanaugh. And here's my question. Who would you vote yes for? Like somebody who only sees politics your way? Is that Is that how we do this? Yes, it is. You know, and I hear all day, Chad, why are we rushing this? Why are we rushing? Why are we rushing this? We're rushing him through. We're rushing him through. The Senate has never taken more than 125 days to vote on a successor from the time of the nomination. On average, a nominee has been confirmed, rejected, or withdrawn in 25 days. He's at day 70. Since they said, this is the cat right here, right? Like, this is the guy. He's at day 70. So was it like July 9th, something like that? So it's not like this, and they've got more paperwork. They have more information. They have done more due diligence. They have been fed more stuff. Let's stop pretending for a moment that you don't have enough information. This is something that came out of nowhere. It is still yet to be determined if it's real or not, and no matter how much you beg the FBI. Now, has this happened before? Well, obviously has, right? Remember the whole Clarence Thomas thing? Remember? Does everybody remember that? Remember? You know, Anita Hill, remember that? And the FBI did look into it because at the time, right, George H.W. Bush said, go ahead and look into it. Trump could do the same thing, but the Senate can't force them to look into it. And as far as her coming,
we want to hear from her. We've asked her to appear. She said she wanted to appear, but if she changes her mind and refuses to appear, there's not much we can do to we can't force her to do that.
No, you can't force her. Remember, she got herself into this. She played it, and apparently they're saying the lawmakers met her in July. So it's not like it's there's a lot to this. And here's my thing. I can look at it two ways, right? She's worried she's going to get torn apart. People aren't going to believe her. And you know, she's going to be made to be looked like some sort of evil monster by the right and doesn't want to go through that. I understand that. But I can also throw over here and say, you know what? It may not be her. Let's just for a second step back and say the Democrats are looking, and some of them may have met with her, and the story may not hold up water, and they realize that any second-year law student could probably start to poke enough holes into it that it makes it look real bad. So it may not be her saying, I don't want this. It may be the Democrats saying, no, we're going to push this envelope here so that way, yeah, you know, and they may not be saying anything to her, but they may be playing this game. Now, Orrin Hatch said he talked to him. Now, you can believe Orrin Hatch or not. Right? And this is the guy who, by the way, remember Orrin Hatch, huge fan of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the notorious BG. Yeah. He said, I spoke to him. I looked at him. I'm taking him at his word, but he said, he looked at me like I didn't even know what party. I was not at a party. And could that be possible? Could she have gotten it wrong? Anything is possible. Anything in the world is possible. He could be completely guilty of this. He could be innocent. He could be being railroaded. We don't know, and we're never going to know. We're never going to know. And now the question is he going to last? Is he getting to the point where he's talking to his family and he may say, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I don't know if I want to put them through this.
Definitely think it's in trouble. I think nothing would surprise me, including him by the end of the week, if Judge Kavanaugh decides he doesn't want to go through this. It isn't worth it. He doesn't want to. Maybe he can win, but he doesn't want an asterisk. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he chose to withdraw and chose to back down.
It wouldn't. It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. So we'll see. Now, here's my thing. Who would be next? It's simple. And if you are worried out there, people on the left, if you're worried about him being, taking away everything, Amy Coney Barrett would probably be the next in line. And she's a Catholic. She's like a Shiite Catholic. You're going to have some issues here. And a lot of conservatives, like uber conservatives, like she's the one. She's the one. Look over here. I think she'd be next. So be careful what you wish for, because what may be coming as you celebrate and dance on the reputation and the political grave of Brett Kavanaugh, if he decides to step away, would be somebody that you'd be like, well, Brett Kavanaugh looks like a real good choice. Is there a way we can get that guy back? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. So I've been talking about healthcare. We touch on healthcare. Healthcare is vitally important. I mean, it's a huge part of our economy. It's a massive issue for a lot of people as we continually see the rise and the continual rise of cost, not just for pharmaceuticals, but for care itself, for everything associated with it. Deductibles are going up. Monthly payments are going up. People are making decisions to cover their kids, but not themselves. It's nuts. And I have said for years, there is a capitalistic way to make this happen. And I'm like, I don't know how many times I've said Walmart's going to do it. Walmart's going to come up with an idea. It's going to be Walmart. It's going to be. Walmart looks like they're stepping into it. Now, they've been doing stuff for the last several months, and I think actually a little bit longer than that, when it comes to like nutrition and certain things that you can go to certain, and it's actually accounted for quite a big, jump in certain areas of sales for them, where people are going in and it's nutrition and all of this kind of stuff, and it's been really well received. They have 160 million shoppers weekly. They're competing right now and giving Amazon quite a run. They have bought some space like Jet.com and a few other ones, and they just bought a huge space in India as far as the online. They're not giving up, but they're also point of sale. You can go there and buy something. You need it today. I love Amazon if I don't need it today. If I need it today, I'm sorry. And Walmart is not only invading in their space, and there's the talk about Amazon, getting into to this since they look at, pharmaceuticals and all of these things. Well, they're thinking about opening up clinics that would have probably doctors, physician assistants, nurse practitioners. I said this would be huge. It would be. Especially for low income and middle income people, it would be massive. And for anybody who just wants to probably save a buck. It's out there. I know there's a capitalistic way to do things. It's out there. And everybody's like, it's never going to be out there. It's impossible because everybody wants this or everybody wants that. I'm telling you, it's out there. It is. Who's willing to do it first? And if they were to pull this off, think about this for a second. If Walmart was able to pull something like this off, where you can go in and do your shopping and see a doctor or a nurse practitioner, because most of the time, a majority of the time you go to the doctors, it's for minor things. You got a cold, right? You just little things that you're taking, your kid's got a bump in the head. You're taking time off your work to go doing things like this. The convenience of doing something like this would be massive. The amount of stores that they had, the services that they can produce for people. And you think about, in another way too, you've got so many people living in New York, California. There's a certain hub of a lot of people. And then there's a lot of rural areas that are served by a place like Walmart where they no longer have medical and access to doctors the way that these big cities do. So this would serve another huge portion of America that's really underserved. There's a way out there. And if they get it right, this really separates them in a massive way. And as much as people may hate Walmart, and I love how everybody says, I hate Walmart, but everybody shops there. You pretend you hate Walmart. You hate Walmart because it's the thing to say you do. I hate Walmart. Then you shop there. I don't shop there. You do. You do. You pretend, but you do. You can't serve 160 million people, right? And not, it's like the people who say, ABBA was an awful band. I'm like, everybody says that. Then they sold like 300 million albums. So somebody bought their album, right? Somebody bought their album. Somebody bought a Hanson album. You know who you are out there. I'm just saying. I think there's a capitalistic way. No matter what anybody tells me, I think there's a way that this can be done. And I think Walmart is going to address it and try it. And if it takes off, I think it could be huge. Amazon's looking into doing stuff. There's a lot of different things that are being looked at right now. And I think now is the time, because at some point in time, it's going to get so broke. It's going to become such a massive hassle that government is going to step in even more. And then it's a mess. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Want to talk to you about stuff. What do you think? What's your honest opinion? You can text the show. What do you think? If you're this woman, can you understand why she's a little bit nervous? Absolutely. I think we can. But if she doesn't show up, that's on Feinstein and everybody else. And at that point in time, you got to go forward with the confirmation, because we can't just stop everything forever based on an accusation that somebody won't sit down and answer because the FBI is not going to get involved in something they don't get involved in because it's not a federal crime. So what do you think? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Dollar Shave Club is incredible. Look, feel, smell your best. Razors, the best. Hair care products, yeah. Not only do they have shampoo and conditioner, but they have all kinds of hair care products to make your hair look awesome. They've got hand cream. I know, right? Hand cream, yeah. Big Cloud, Good Shake hand cream. And it's great. My hands are very nice. I use it every day, right? They've got all kinds of things, and it's perfect for you. So what are you doing? It's $5, free shipping. It's the start of what will be a very fruitful relationship, I predict. Now, they start you with the Daily Essential Starter Set, so you get that. You can choose any one of them. Check out their videos. And, look, I'm telling you, and ladies, you know this, right? Like, my aunts and my sisters love their razors. Like, they're like, well, we had to get more razors because they're just amazing. They are. They're incredible. So try it out. After this ships at regular price, which is still dirt cheap. You're going to get the best products, high-end ingredient products that are amazing at, it's not going to break your budget at all, and you don't have to go anywhere. That's the other thing. All right? So head over to dollarshaveclub.com/Chad. $5 free shipping. dollarshaveclub.com/Chad. dollarshaveclub.com/Chad. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. ChadBenson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Darn, that climate change. Batten down the hatches. It's Topical Storm Chad, headed your way.
I had somebody call me a climate denier the other day. I was laughing. They just screamed 97%. And then you try to explain to them how that whole 97% came about. And then they sent out all of this stuff. Like two people who were asking questions, sent out all of this stuff to like 10,000. And out of that, the response was very little. And I think it was like 77 total people who responded. And the questions were just two questions. And that's the 97%. So it's science, right? It's 97. They're like, you're a climate denier. And that's not even true. That's a lie. And you can like point them to, this is the funny thing about the world that we live, because people want everything they believe to be so true that when you challenge them on something, right? And the difference is like people say, hey, Chad, that wasn't true. And they'll send me something like, oh, okay, cool. But the problem is we sell ourselves into almost like I think at times like climate change and a lot of this stuff, these people, it almost becomes cult-like in their attitudes towards it. And they identify as this person, like fighting for, polar bears. Polar bears are almost extinct. No, they're not. Not even close. In fact, from the 70s, they said there was like 10,000 polar bears. Now they think there's well over 25 to 30,000. And for those of you not keeping scores, polar bears are one of the few animals that like to hunt humans. They're okay with that. And just because they're hunting doesn't mean they're eating. Just letting you know, right? Like, but those are the things that and it's great because they wrap themselves up like same thing with politics. They wrap them. This is my identity. I am this person. Speaking of identities.
Hey, Bert, asking questions is a good way to find out things you want to know, isn't it?
That's right, Ernie.
And here's a question that a lot of people have wondered for a long time. Are Ernie and Bert really roommates?
Do you like me, Bert?
Of course I like you, Ernie. You're my best friend.
Former Sesame Street writer Mark Saltzman tells the blog Queerty that he wrote for the pair as if they were a gay couple, basing their interactions with those he had with his life partner. Sesame Workshop, which produces the show, says Bert and Ernie are puppets with no sexual orientation.
Yeah, zero, zilch, nada, no sexual orientation, apparently, and this became something yesterday. And of course, people gravitated and say, oh, they're just, Sesame Street, the Workshop people had to come out and say, look, they're puppets. That's it. They're puppets. They're supposed to be pals. I always thought of them as a little bit like, the Skipper and Gilligan, just a couple frat dudes who didn't really want to get regular jobs and kind of... it's kind of take on The Odd Couple meets some frat guys who are just kind of slackers. I mean, you could look at duos and go, I see a little bit of The Odd Couple, right? Like I see a little bit of Shaggy and Scooby. You could see, Gilligan and they're just kind of hanging out, right? They don't want to they got a great paperclip collection and stuff like that. As Phil is like, damn, that's nice. But we have to make it a social statement, and then we need somebody to talk about the fact that they're puppets and they're in the other room and they're not doing anything because they're not real. They're puppets. I weep. Tears. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. Love to hear from you. A lot of stuff going on. What do you think about this entire thing with Kavanaugh? Should they delay it? Should they delay it and delay it? How many months should it go? What if she doesn't want to speak for 6 months or a year? I mean, what do we do at that point in time? 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
I definitely think it's in trouble. I think nothing would surprise me, including him by the end of the week if Judge Kavanaugh decides he doesn't want to go through this. It isn't worth it. He doesn't want to. Maybe he can win, but he doesn't want an asterisk. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he chose to withdraw and chose to back down.
We don't know what's going to happen. We don't. Sometimes I feel like it's over and done with. Other times I don't. Apparently, Kavanaugh's accuser, her lawyers released new statement, request more witnesses at hearing, which is, fine. I mean, it should be about getting to the bottom of this. You're dealing with two human beings whose life is right now intersecting in a horrible situation where one believes and may be telling the truth that she was sexually assaulted by a 17-year-old boy when she was 15 years old, or somebody who is going to destroy a person who's up for the highest court in the land based on maybe a memory of something, maybe not. It's a lot. They smash into each other. And is there going to be anything? John Corwin says it right here about her.
We want to hear from her. We've asked her to appear. She said she wanted to appear, but if she changes her mind and refuses to appear, there's not much we can do to we can't force her to do that.
No, John Cornyn right there. You can't force her to do anything. And, the big thing has been, well, we need the FBI. And the Senate's like, we signed these paperwork. We're requesting the FBI to take a look. And I don't know what first of all, the FBI, they've already said this is not a federal crime, right? And there is no crime here to investigate, first of all. So if there's no crime to investigate and it's not a federal crime, then only the president could come in and say, you need to go do this. Anita Hill, George H.W. Bush said, go check this out. And they did. They don't want another circus like that was. But what do you do? Well, Chad, they're rushing it through. It's been 70 days. How many? I mean, the averages. Are you ready for this? So I'm going to throw this out there. And 125 days to vote. It is never taken when it comes to somebody on the Supreme Court. So 125, that's no more than that. On average, 25 days, a nominee has been confirmed, rejected, or withdrawn. Now, that has changed over the last the last 3 or 4 decades because it has gotten uglier and more political than ever before. Right? It has gone on. Clarence Thomas was almost 100 days. Sotomayor was 66 days. Judge Roberts withdrew after 39 days, and then in 23 days, he was then confirmed because what happened was he was resubmitted after the death of Chief Justice Rehnquist. Remember that? So instead of taking over Sandra Day O'Connor, it was then him to be the Chief Justice. So that took 23 days. Stephen Breyer, 73, RBG, 50. So, yeah, you're in that wheelhouse of 70 days. So if it goes on through next week, you're looking at 80-plus days. If it goes on for how many months? What the Democrats wanted to go on for is long enough to know that they have a chance at winning the Senate, and in doing so, know that they're guaranteed that no matter who Trump puts up, they're never going to allow that person to get through. Never going to happen. Ever going to happen. And you're going to see a Merrick Garland situation again where it's just, and we'll go with 4, which, on each side, which I'm fine with. I'm not going to bitch, whine, and moan about it. Right? So we'll see what happens. But people are like, well, we should investigate more. And I know that everybody, look, I want this thing to come to an end. Let's get this thing out there. Let's figure this thing out. Here is the problem with that, though. What are we investigating? Like, what are we going to do? They're not going to sweep the crime. They're not going to go to the crime scene and sweep it. They're not going to dust for prints. There's no, there was no crime report at the time. The statute of limitations is gone. I mean, we're going to talk to people, and he's going to say, I don't remember being there. I don't think I was ever there. I don't even know if I know this woman. And she's going to say, it was him. It was him. It was 35 years ago. It's him. And then we're at what? An impasse. Nothing's going to change. So what do we do now? I think these are all very fair and real questions to ask. And so I can see why he may want to bounce. Does he want to put his family through this? Does he? That's going to be interesting. It's going to be, and I was telling producer Philip Bragg, I said, let me tell you something. I said, had this been any president but Trump, and by that I mean Trump wants this stuff done quick. If this becomes a nightmare, you might get somebody who walks in there and says, I don't know if I want to do this anymore, Mr. President. But Trump, I don't think, is going to give it up. I think he's going to ride this thing as long as he can, and he is not going to stop the fight. And that's what he's telling Mitch and them. You get back out there and you keep going on. If they don't want to do this, you keep moving it forward, because we're not going to allow this to happen. Any other president, they may step back, and there may be a discussion, about, him withdrawing his name. It's interesting. It is interesting indeed, and it's horrible that it's bipartisanship to the point. I mean, there's no bipartisanship in this where they can both stand up and say, look, we got to get this thing, we got to talk about this. We got to do the right thing here. We got to either sit down and let's do a closed door. And I think that they should both be questioned behind closed doors. I think that, I think she should be and he should be. And I've said this and I'll continue to say this. I worry that not only is she a political puppet, which she is, but that the Democrats are making this even more difficult. She may really want to testify and be willing to do so. And they may be saying, yeah, we've looked at some of her story and we're not quite sure this lady's got everything going on that we think. And she is going to be sliced to pieces, even with regular questions by people who are not threatening. And so it's better that we throw up some sort of roadblock that is so ridiculous. There's just no way that this thing is going to get done. So maybe we should do that. Maybe. But everything should be behind closed doors. It shouldn't be made into a spectacle. Put it behind closed doors. You don't need to see her getting shredded apart. And as the optics go, and this is the funny thing is, the Democrats probably want it in front of the world because they want to say this cisgender, aging white male with privilege was horrible to this woman. And she may not want it. That's an interesting thing. It really is. And I just, it's ugly. It is. It's ugly. And it shouldn't, at what point do we say, come on? At what point do we say, and people say, well, we should investigate. I keep hearing everybody text me and everybody's tweeting at me, Chad, we need to investigate. I'm asking, what are we investigating? The crime. There was no crime. There was no crime at the time. Nobody filed anything. So there's no crime to investigate. It's a situation that took place. How do you investigate something from 35 years ago when there is it's not like it's a cold case and they're taking out something from the big metal drawer and they've got all of this stuff and they've got some broken leads and a ripped shirt and all. That's not it. This isn't a cold case. There is no case. So what do we do? Do we just say, well, you're sorry, you're screwed? And then every time somebody comes up, that somebody comes out of the woodwork in the 11th hour to derail something with some sort of accusation that may or may not be true based on political ideology and the way that these things get done? Because as I've said it, I will tell you this now, Dianne Feinstein and all of the people on the left, win or lose, she is not going to be a hero. She's going to be on the trash heap of history and a footnote in a Wikipedia page because their ends justify the mean and they don't care. Do you think if for a moment, because if he's guilty, if they can somehow prove that he's done something, then yeah, he's got to withdraw his name and he's done. He can't go back to, the second highest court in the D.C. Circuit Court. You're done. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that doesn't happen. He ends up withdrawing, and 6 months or a year later, we find out it's BS. And was all BS. What happens then, out of curiosity? Do you think they care? They don't care. They don't care. You're dealing with a human being and her emotions after what she went through? And you're dealing with a person and his reputation and something he's built and lived his life in a way that he thinks is as an upstanding citizen. And according to a lot of people and all of the documents, he's kind of lived a pretty decent life. Now it's, if you're on the right, you believe this. If you're on the left, you believe that. If you're a woman, you believe her. If you're a man, you believe her, by and large. But no answer is going to be answered because neither of us were there. They're the only two or so that can answer that. So what do we do? You got her friend saying this happened. You got his friend saying it didn't happen. She said his friend was in the room. Her friend, it's ridiculous. If it's you just don't like his politics and who he is, at least be honest about that. I'm fine with 4. I've always said that. I like 4. Because when you have 4 and it goes one way, it went one way for a reason. Because they could not interpret the Constitution and the law in any different way. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. AMAC. Hey, you're over 50, right? So what now? You look around and maybe you've been with that left-leaning behemoth ARP, and they're out there. Who are they advocating for? I'm just saying. So is there a company, is there an organization that you could work with that would advocate on your behalf, or like stuff like common sense immigration reform and Medicare reform and Social Security reform and things of that nature? Yeah, there is. It's called AMAC. You're over 50. They do all of that, and the benefits are so numerous. I can barely mention them. 40% off movie tickets, 40% off theme park tickets, Disneyland, Disney World, SeaWorld, Legoland, just to name a few. Retail, restaurant discounts, travel discounts, hotel booking and rental car discounts. You name it, they have it. Again, too many to name. And here's the great thing. It's free. Doesn't cost you a penny. They don't even want your credit card. No tricks, no gimmicks, no credit card. Just join today for free. Go to amac.us/Chad. That's amac.us/Chad. You get a year membership absolutely free. amac.us/Chad, or call 888-355-1668. That's 888-355-1668. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. Bottom of the hour, we're going to talk to a lady named Lisa Kohn. She was a Moonie. Remember the Moonies, right? Remember that? Reverend Moon, remember that? Yeah. How she escaped a cult and some of the things that she was going through in her life at the time. It's a very interesting book that she has out. We're going to talk to her at the bottom of the hour. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Set Chad straight. Text the show, 323-538-2423. That's 323-538-CHAD. Someone has to do it. Might as well be you. The Chad Benson Show.
And I said, really? I said, I don't think nothing of it, because that's the way I am.
Anthony Torres knows it wasn't his finest moment captured on a New Jersey Transit train last Thursday. He was shaving at his seat and flicked the whiskers on the floor. Millions have watched Torres on social media, many calling the 56-year-old names like a selfish slob.
Why were you shaving on a train instead of in a bathroom or somewhere else?
Because I just got out of a shelter, felt dirty, then take a shower, then shave.
It's a very interesting thing, and how in this day and age of social media, and we've seen it right now, right? Like with all that stuff happening with Kavanaugh and everything, the social media world is alight with that, and we're seeing memes and all kinds of fake reports and all kinds of craziness, and that things can heat up really fast in some. And you've got a guy here who's homeless, and let's all be honest for a second. They're invisible for most people. Right? Myself included. I raise my hand and walk by people, and sometimes you see the same people and you know it's a scam, but a lot of times you know they're in the periphery, and they're like a ghost. You see a shadow, but you really don't see anybody, and they're trying to live their life. And some of them have mental problems, some of them there because of poor choices and drugs, and some people it's just things have happened that are bad, and then on top of that, they've probably made some other decisions that haven't been good. And there's a guy shaving and somebody's filming it. And yeah, the dude dumps his he kind of cleans his razor off and it falls on there. And then people snap judgment all over the internet. Disgusting slob, say all kinds of horrible things. And then they step back and they're like, oh, that's not very nice, because they found out he was homeless, because nobody ever bothers to find out about the entire story. And it's, it's sad. It is sad, but it just shows you the world that we live in right now. It's a snap judgment world. I mean, I was saying earlier, you can put a total crazy headline up, and people will make a judgment on the headline. And then if they were to click into it, you could go, this is not really anything real. We're just making something funny up. You could just put that in big. There wouldn't even be a story, because nobody bothers to read any of that. They look at the headline and they just go right through. That's it. What was that? And they just move on. No more. Just look at the headline and away they go. And that's what happened, I think, for a lot of this guy. Nobody wanted to know a story. They just wanted to hammer if he was just some dude riding the train, and he's just shaving, and he's gross.
Anthony Torres says for those who see the video, he wants them to know he wasn't trying to be rude.
I wasn't thinking. I should have waited the shaving cream that was on the floor. I wasn't thinking.
No, probably not. Living in a shelter, hanging out with his brother and staying there a couple nights, and, struggling with issues, probably not thinking. But he was somebody's amusement, and oh, look at that. Look at my video. How many likes can I get at the expense of somebody? It's kind of sad, man. It is. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. A lot of people are. And it's funny, because I know that people, they mean well. Like, they want to why can't we have and I understand why we can't have an investigation, Chad, but we should have an investigation. But why? I understand why we can't, because there really wasn't a crime. And it's a tough thing when it comes to this Kavanaugh thing. It really is. We should want to find out the truth, except this is one of those things where we're not going to find out the truth because none of us were there. 323-538-2423. It was a cult, and she enjoyed being in it. Lisa Kohn, straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
If you listen to my show long enough, you know I love interesting. It is, well, it's great. It's just, to me, the more that we know about people and human life and all of this stuff, and we're interwoven, and we can look at each other's lives and go, wow, this is one of those wow things. The book comes out today. Lisa Kohn is the author. It's called To the Moon and Back, A Childhood Under the Influence. And it is very, very interesting. And it really is. She is a leadership consultant. You're an executive coach. You do all of these things. You've been doing this for a very long time. And much of it, I'm sure, is because of your childhood. You're able to do these kind of things. Yep. First and foremost, what made you write the book, Lisa?
What made me write the book? So many years ago, when I first started to realize that there was a little bit messed up where my childhood and where I came from, and started to stumble into some rooms to get some help, I would tell my story, and people would say, "Oh my God, you have to write a book." So it was always in the back of my mind. And then literally about 20 years ago, because I started writing it when I was pregnant with my second child, who's now 16. I was trying to get pregnant with my second child. I sat down and I started writing, and it was half self-help, half memoir. Here's what happened to me, how it messed me up, how I got better, you can too. And then it's evolved into memoir over the years. And then that's the reason, because it's what I do with my work, probably because of my childhood. I want to tell my story in the hopes that three messages. One, for people who do feel hopeless or feel damaged beyond repair. I want to say that there is hope, there can be hope. I want to let people know that cults and any fanatical thinking is extremely scary and dangerous, in my opinion. And three, also in my opinion, I think as a species, or at least in our society, we're really, really hard on ourselves and self-critical and self-lambasting. And I kind of preach the message of a little more self-love, self-acceptance, self-compassion. I think it goes a long way to healing people in the world. So that's why.
Let's talk about your story first and foremost. So the book's called To the Moon and Back, A Childhood Under the Influence. The author, Lisa Kohn, joins us today. Her book is out today. Let's talk about that childhood, because you lived in two worlds, and one of them, yes, was a cult, and the other one was sex, drugs, and rock and roll kind of thing. And let's talk about that cult. Explain to everybody what cult that was.
I was a member of the Unification Church. Leader Reverend Sun Myung Moon, most popularly known as the Moonies, kind of like one of the cults of all cults in the 70s, the one that got made fun of the most and people were afraid of the most. I was best friends with his kids. I was up in there. It was my life for a very long time in my childhood.
God, that is interesting, because we think, and again, it's the 70s, and we look back at the 70s and we're like, well, there's Jim Jones, and there was all of these kind of free love and cult kind of things, and the Moonies were definitely one of those. Did you recognize what was going on while you were in it? Did you understand that, like, hey, this kind of isn't like what normal kids are doing?
I knew it wasn't what normal kids were doing, and I knew I was extremely lucky to be doing what normal kids weren't doing. I knew I was lucky to, be serving God and have found the Messiah. I didn't think it was bad. I mean, after coming out, I could tell you stories to know that my whole life was kind of a little weird. I thought my dad's life was bad, but I thought my life with my mom and the church was just, I was so lucky to be there. The thing about being in a cult is that you do not think you're in a cult. So part of it.
Well, that's the whole point. Now you talk about your dad's life. So there you are. You're the Moonies. You're living this whole kind of thing. And again, you don't recognize it because you're in it and you think it's totally fine. And then the other side, while you long to be in that, you had your dad's side, and your dad's side was kind of the exact opposite.
Kind of the exact opposite. Yeah, my parents split up when I was very young, and we lived with my mom for a very long time. They were both babies having babies. They were hippies. It was the whole scene of the 60s, if you will. And then when my mom joined in 74 and she moved into the church, we did not, but took us mentally, spiritually, emotionally with her, psychically involved. We ended up living with my father. So, yeah, it was like, to me at that point, he was, Satan, right? His life was satanic. It was evil. It was awful. It was scary. It was not where I wanted to be. So I lived there mostly during the week and would go see my mother, or when I wasn't allowed to see my mother, go anywhere into the church in the summers and the weekends, because that's where my heart was.
Wow, I mean, look, we've all lived lives, right? And some people have. You stand back every once in a while, Lisa, and go, "Wow!" I look from where I started, and you think to yourself, "How did I escape some of that?" Do you ever see people who were also Moonies and children with you at the time, and you look at them and you go, "They weren't as lucky, or they escaped as well," as far as getting through it all, the mind washing, the craziness, and you guys talk about stuff like that?
So when I left back, and people will say I never left, I kind of slowly disappeared, but I left the church in the early 80s. So it was a long time ago, and there were not a lot of other people leaving that I knew at that time. So I went a long time, one, feeling like this huge part of my life never really happened and never really existed, because I did walk away from everyone and everything I knew and loved. And two, having no one to communicate with about it, to talk to about it. I always wanted to have conversations with people about it who knew what I meant. And in the process of writing the book and going through this, and maybe even just before before it was full memoir, when it was both, I started reaching out to some people that I knew and reconnecting with others, and over time have reconnected with some of my best friends who are kids also growing up, and also found a huge, so many what they call second generations, which are people who were born in and or raised in a cult, and connecting with a lot of them. And that's been amazing, amazing experience to talk to people and be like, yes, me too. I know what you mean. I know what you're saying. It's a unique experience that unless you were there, you just think we were all crazy. And we may have been crazy, but someone who was in that crazy with me knows what I mean when I talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. To the Moon and Back, a childhood under the influence. Lisa Kohn is joining us now. So, from your childhood, going through it all, you had your dad's side of things, which was the sex to drugs and all that kind of stuff. You had your mom's side of things, which was the Moonies and the whole nine yards. You had foot in both worlds. That's going to lead to some upheaval for most people inside of their personal life as you try to strive to do something different. And, you had bad relationships. You enjoyed the drugs every once in a while. What kind of effect did that play on your life?
So it's interesting. By the time we joined the church, what's really weird about it, by the time we joined the church, in many ways, it was like a haven from some of the craziness that my mom was into and my dad was into beforehand. So my mom joined, and it provided structure, and it provided rules, which I really liked at the time. And it provided, all the members of the church, we call them brothers and sisters. It's God's family on earth. And they were loving, and they, welcomed us. So in many ways it was safe. And it's also interesting because if you read the book, you'll know that my father had my brother smoking pot at the age of 10. And so he's my older brother. And so when we joined the church, my brother stopped. And we were talking about it recently, and he said, do you think I might have become a real addict if I hadn't joined the church? And I'm like, yeah, I think you might have, right? So in some ways, that was a safety net for us, as weird as that is. And on the other hand, in leaving, when I reconnected with other kids who grew up in the church, they said, I think it might have been easier for you to leave in some ways because you did have a foot in the outside. So as much as these two conflicting worlds my brother and I, we just read the book Scar Tissue. Anthony Kiedis, hope I'm saying his name right, the lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And he read his story, and I called my brother, I'm like, you have to read this, because his description of his life with his dad had him smoking pot at the age of 8. Was so much like my life with my dad. I'm like, oh my God, you have to read this. And my brother read it, and he goes, yeah, but at least he had consistency. He just had that. We had the drug dealing, life in the squalor with my dad on one side and the fanatical cult on the other side. So it was, in some way, both sides probably helped us. And going back and forth it definitely carved some major schisms in my brain, right? And so how it affected me, I left the church, and I left the church, and in that process, my freshman year of college, I almost jumped off a bridge at Cornell. My sophomore year of college, I became anorexic. My junior year of college, I developed what I like to call a mild cocaine addiction. My senior year of college, I just kind of embarked on some really destructive, dysfunctional, not good relationships, all the while thinking that I was totally fine. And many years later, was engaged to someone who did drink a lot and wasn't really nice when they did, and got sent to a 12-step program. And I walked in going, tell me if he's an alcoholic. There's no way I would ever be with an alcoholic. Only to look at my life and my history and go, oh, there's really a lot of reasons. There's a lot of scars in there that I didn't even know were there. I have a lot of weird carved ways of thinking as a result of the schism of both lives and a lot of the cult teachings.
The book's called To the Moon and Back, A Childhood Under the Influence. Lisa Kohn joins us. As one last question here. People are going to read this book, and I tried to get through as much as possible. And it's just very interesting. I led a very bizarre and weird childhood, not so much cultish, but the drugs and the rock and roll and the craziness and all of that stuff, and then some. And I look at this. What do you want people to take away from this book? What do you want them to get out of this?
Like I said, I think three main messages. And one, while my story is unique, it's weird. I've yet to find someone who has exactly the same situation. The themes to me are very universal, right? And the number of people who've already said to me, I so identify with some of what you've written or the way you feel or how you were affected. And so the three main messages are that fanatical thinking, right and wrong, good and bad, this is absolutely true and therefore that's not, is dangerous. As I like to say, there is nothing more intoxicating than knowing you have the truth, especially a God-given truth. You will do anything. That is the reason people fly planes into buildings, right? Because they know it is true. I would have done anything that was asked of me or I was told to do. So when you know that you're right and everyone else is wrong, and you're chosen and everyone else is not, and you are taught only to believe that, and you're not allowed to doubt that, and you never doubt that, it's a very, very scary thing. So I just think, especially in this day and age, that's an important thing for us to be aware of. My second message, again, is, for those people who feel hopeless or damaged beyond belief, I know that my story is not the worst. I know people have had many, many worse situations than me. And I have been hopeless at times. I can feel damaged beyond any way to fix me. I have felt that. And yet I found a way to hope and I found a way to love. And I do believe that one can heal from these crazy, crazy situations. And the third real message is one of the ways I've learned to heal is incredible self-compassion, self-love, self-understanding, self-forgiveness. I think, again, as a human race, we are incredibly hard on ourselves and treat ourselves so badly. As my work as an executive coach, I work with groups, with individuals, and I see how hard we rule ourselves, right? How hard we push ourselves, how unforgiving we are with ourselves. And, a little bit of self-care can go a really long way to, find joy, find ease, find love, find the beauty. I do believe that my weird childhood and the stuff that I went through helped me appreciate more the beauty in a tree, in the grass, in the sky, in a friend, in a laugh. And that is what I think makes life worthwhile and good. So those are my messages. Absolutely. Very interesting. Lisa Kohn, To the Moon and Back, A Childhood Under the Influence. Appreciate you coming on today. Thank you so very much. And we look forward to maybe talking to you again. Maybe got another book or two in you. I'm trying. That's my plan. Thank you very much. Thank you. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. Everybody's got a story. We don't come, I think we all think we just come from the exact same place. That is not true. Everybody's got a story. Everybody's unique. And I find things like this interesting. Imagine growing up in a cult and liking it compared to your dad's insane life. Isn't that nuts? It's the Chad Benson Show.
Welcome to the alt-middle, where solutions live and ignorance dies. The Chad Benson Show.
Grassley responding in a statement. Dr. Ford's testimony would reflect her personal knowledge and memory of events. Nothing the FBI or any other investigator does would have any bearing on what Dr. Ford tells the committee, so there is no reason for any further delay.
And he's not going to. Apparently, Chuck Grassley has said, look, here's the deal. If you're not going to agree to testify by Friday for a Monday thing, then we are going to move forward, and that's that. End of story. We have offered you everything. We have bent over backwards. Even Susan Collins, who I think is still on the fence, has come out and kind of said it's a shame that you're maybe reconsidering testifying. You need to do this, and understanding that they're offering you every opportunity to do it in the most comfortable way. If she doesn't, boom. And apparently they grilled old Kavanaugh when it comes to this.
Chairman Chuck Grassley revealed that Kavanaugh was interrogated by Republican investigators on the Judiciary Committee for a transcribed interview on Monday. Senator Grassley says that Kavanaugh answered all questions, quote, fully, candidly, and unequivocally, and that he understood that if he did not tell the truth, he could be charged with a felony.
Yeah. So there we go. Very interesting. I don't know what the answer is. The answer is this is what politics has become. And people are like, well, he may not just get on there because of this. And I'm like, well, if we're never going to find out the truth, and for some it's fine if we destroy this man's life just because the ends justify the means, then what does that say about us as a society? Well, Chad, what you're saying is I'm not diminishing anything she's saying. But we're not going to find out the truth. And there is, you can scream, get the FBI involved. It's just not going to happen. It's not. I've said earlier, if I'm Trump, I get the FBI involved. Say, look, how fast can you get this thing knocked out? Let's go get this thing done. And then if it gets done and she doesn't want to testify and they say there's nothing there, then at that point in time, it's and I would go over to old Feinstein and say, we'll do this. On one guarantee, if they come back with nothing, you vote for him, period, case closed. I don't want to hear anything from anybody. Put the ball in their court. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. I am traveling, but I brought my MyPillow because I will not go anywhere without it. I love it. The sleep I get is amazing. I'll get into my hotel tonight. I'll kick the 3 or 4 pillows they got on the bed onto the side. I'll put my MyPillow down. When I go to bed tonight, I know how I'm going to sleep. Amazing. Thank you, MyPillow. It is incredible. What are you waiting for? Buy one, get one free. It's backed by popular demand. MyPillow is 100% machine washable and dryable, made in the USA, backed by a 10-year warranty. All you have to do is call 800-944-4975 or go to MyPillow.com. When you do, use the promo code Benson, BENSON. Remember, you're getting 2 MyPillows for the price of 1. It is incredible. The world's most comfortable pillow. You will get a better night's rest. It's great for your health. It's great for your mind, your productivity. It's just great all around. Call 800-944-4975 or visit MyPillow.com. Use promo code Benson, BENSON. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, CHADBENSON. How would that be if you're Chuck Grassley and you say that to Feinstein? And by the way, he says he wants to see the letter too. Wouldn't that be interesting? And she agrees to it? And then all of a sudden, boom. That way we're all on the same page here. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
We're not just in a different planet, but now we're in a different cosmos. At the time of the Anita Hill and the Clarence Thomas thing, there were 2 women in the United States Senate. Today there were 23, maybe 24. The Me Too movement didn't exist at the time. So while some comparisons can be made, we don't want to make too many comparisons because it's a different time, different situation.
That's Dan Rather. If you can hear him through the mumbling. We're in a different time. And then we need to understand that. And this whole thing that's going on with Kavanaugh and this Dr. Ford lady out in, from California, it is a different time. But just because a different time, look, here's the thing. It shouldn't matter what time it is. What should matter is what the truth is. Like somehow we're in a different time, and because it's a different time, truth should matter less, and what should matter is feelings. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't. And I look at this situation, and I genuinely feel some empathy towards a woman if she felt something happened, and something did happen, and she submitted this letter, and her whirlwind now is a giant crap storm because this is what happens, right? Media is 24/7. They're going to be on her like you cannot believe. They're going to be, I heard she's had death threats, which is highly possible because people are insane. Kavanaugh's got death threats. Nobody talks about that, but it's insane, right? Like, can we all admit this is kind of kooky? Yeah. There are nut jobs out there. But she also stepped forward and said, well, you know what? I think I have information about this guy that is going to change people's minds. And I think we should talk about it, right? We should. Fine. Let's hear what you have to say. Well, here's the problem. The whole she's going to testify comes with a caveat.
There's a major precondition. CNN has obtained a letter addressed to the Senate Judiciary Chair that says Professor Ford wants to testify, but she wants the FBI to investigate first. Now, there's a plus minus here. On the plus side, you could say it's a boost to her credibility. Who wants the feds digging into something that they're lying about? On the negative side, it smacks of politics because this is what the Democrats have been pushing for as well.
Whatever that means. Look, you say something like, I want the feds, knowing full well the feds are not going to investigate because that's not their job to investigate something that's not a federal crime, right? That's what they said as much. I would have gone further and said, you want to call CSI? You want to call Criminal Minds? That's not what we are. It's a federal crime. Now, if Trump, right, so the Senate can do all of the things they want. You can get all of the letters and the change.org and look, we've signed this letter behind this. You can do all of those things and the senators can go out. We've signed this letter and we're behind this 100%. We want the FBI to investigate. They have no power. They don't get a call for an investigation. The only person that can call for an investigation on this matter is the president. Do you think he's going to do that? I don't. Nor should he, because it's not their job. It's not. But it's a perfect way to say, I want this or I'm not going to do it, knowing full well that's not going to be met. And so now you could say, well, I told you what my conditions were. Well, then that's fine. But I remind you, you put yourself in this situation. You did. You put yourself up in this situation because you decided to get involved for whatever reason. You thought it was the right thing to do. I don't know. I wasn't there. And it takes away from a lot of other people out there. I've heard from a lot of women who are there's a couple of women here that I work with, and they have said, it's kind of chicken bleak if she doesn't show up. I get it. And I've heard from men, too, who says, well, you know what? I think she's telling the truth. Well, then there you go. So it's not just a man versus woman, even though people are going to paint out to be that way, and that's what you're hearing. Oh, all men think he's innocent. All women think he's guilty. It's not. But for some women out there who feel like, hey, you know what? She's got a story, and this is a story that we can bring to light, and this movement's going on, and all of this stuff. This is a great time for somebody to get out there and be a strong woman and face the person that they said did something to them and do it in a way where they can show how strong they are. And by not showing up and by using it as a political game with the Feinsteins of the world, what you're going to end up doing is hurting a lot of other women out there who have been in horrible situations, who have been afraid to come forward. And you can use all of the excuses, but let's remember, you decided to put yourself into this situation. And let's also remember, Dianne Feinstein decided to wait till the last minute to release this. So she's partly to blame for this. And people are starting to look at her, even on her side of the aisle, and saying, yeah, this may have not been the best situation. Because we're looking at you right now. And the question is, what is next? They're going to probably try to get him confirmed next week. Unless something else comes out, they're going to try to get him confirmed next week. Why wouldn't they? She doesn't want to come talk to us. And I will tell you this. If Chuck Grassley and Mitch McConnell got together with Schumer and Pelosi and they said, look, here's the deal. Let's just take, 5 from each side of the aisle. We'll fly out to California. We'll do it in her home. We'll rent a hotel room, and we'll set it up and do a very, quiet and intimate kind of. She would say no because she wants some sort of investigation. And partly, I have a feeling. And here's something else that nobody's talking about. How do we know it's even her that's screaming this? Maybe she's saying, I'm willing to do it. But the Democrats are like, Because maybe they thought, she's going to face some barrage and some of her stories are already starting to maybe unravel. And if we get her in front and it doesn't look right, it's going to make us look bad. So if we can throw out some sort of thing that makes it look like, maybe. And that's what has happened. And it's very, very, very sad that we've gotten into this situation because on the other side of the aisle, there is a man who, if you're a judge, right? Like, this is your dream job in judging land, right? Like, this is it. You're going to be on the highest court. You're playing center field for the Yankees. You're starting for the Los Angeles Lakers at center. You are there. It gets no better. A lifetime appointment to the most powerful court in the land. You become part of that co-equal branch of government. And now you're over there and your reputation is taking a hit. And you really can't fight back and have your say. That also isn't fair in a situation like this. Neither side, I think, is getting the due process that's deserved in a situation like this.
Here we are 26 years later, and Feinstein is now wielding that hatchet. This is not a search for the truth. It is not a desire for justice. This is a political assassination of Judge Kavanaugh.
Yeah. It potentially is a political assassination. I'll continue to say this. The minute this is over, no matter which way it goes, right? No matter which way it goes, if her story unravels, Feinstein looks awful, it looks awful, Dr. Ford looks awful, he gets confirmed, she gets thrown on the scrap heap of political history as a footnote in a Wikipedia page, and everybody moves on with their life, and she has to deal with the pieces that she has to pick up on something that she may not have realized what she was getting herself into. That's the reality. It doesn't matter. I mean, once they're done with you, they're done with you. Right? Once it's over, sorry, we're moving on. Little things that people don't think about. And Feinstein has made this even worse by playing it so political, by holding this letter for more than a month plus, waiting to release it at such a time as they knew it would politically throw a wrench in the entire moving forward on this. Because they knew, as Democrats, they probably weren't going to have a chance to stop this. And it's a now what? It's a sit, it's a wait, it's a ponder, it's a thought. But without a hearing, what do you do without a hearing? You look around and you have no hearing. You have no way to dispute what she said or what he said. You have to go on the fact that you've learned so much about this guy. You have numerous, copious amounts of papers and everything you could think of looking into this human being's background. You have well over 60 women who've also signed off saying he's a good dude. At that point in time, you got to go, sorry, Charlie, the opportunity was there. She didn't want to come and speak. We gave it to her. We would have given it to her in whichever way she liked it, and she couldn't do it. And we can't stop moving forward because somebody wants certain things that the group that she wants them to do something. The FBI says that's not who we are. That's not what we do. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. Car Shield. It's talk like a pirate day. And if you had a pirate ship and you needed car shield, that'd be great. Let's say your pirate ship breaks down, right? And you're like, oh, I need it towed somewhere. Where do I take it? Well, you take it wherever you want. Are you serious? Absolutely. No way. 24/7? 24/7. What about a rental pirate ship? They'll give it to you. They will. For free? For free. Who pays them? Car Shield gets them paid directly. No way. What? Yeah. Car Shield's amazing. 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop. You choose the shop, take it to the dealership, they get them paid directly. As expensive as things are now with cars, you need a little something on the back end to protect you. They make the entire process of cover repairs absolutely easy. Save yourself thousands in future car repairs. Get covered by the ultimate and extended vehicle protection like I did. Call 800-CAR-6100. Mention code Benson. Or visit carshield.com. That's carshield.com. Code Benson saves you 10%. Or call 800-CAR-6100. Mention code Benson. Save you 10% right there off the top. A deductible may apply. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. ChadBenson. He shaved. Now people are making fun of him. It's an interesting story and in many ways kind of a sad story of a guy shaving on a train. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Experiencing separation anxiety? That's dumb. Check out Chad 24/7 at his website, ChadBensonShow.com, and on iTunes, free. The Chad Benson Show. Never feel lonely again.
And the YouTube, Chad Benson TV. Check it out there. God, we're all over the place. Should we be on Tumblr? Snapchat? I think I'm on Snapchat. God, it is a full-time job doing all of the other things that are out there in the social media world. It really is. And you've got to be present and real. But it's funny that we're talking about that because social media, people tend to have a snap judgment, right? Like, so they'll see something, they have a snatch judgment, and they're social justice warriors, and they'll say something, and they'll attack somebody for something, and they don't really find out any of the story. And a lot of times later on, they don't care to find out most of the story. And it's sad that we live in a world of headlines, and you could put a headline up that's shocking, and people will make a judgment off of it and say something. And then if you clicked into it, you could write, "This is all crap. I just made this up." But a good majority of people will never look past that, right? Case in point, this guy here.
I don't think nothing of it because that's the way I am.
Anthony Torres knows it wasn't his finest moment captured on a New Jersey transit train last Thursday. He was shaving at his seat and flicked the whiskers on the floor. Millions have watched Torres on social media, many calling the 56-year-old names like a selfish slob.
Why were you shaving on a train instead of in a bathroom or somewhere else?
Because I just got out of a shelter, felt dirty, then take a shower, then shave.
Yeah, he's homeless, right? He's homeless. And in situations, you start to become, you know what it is in real life? You're dehumanized. You're invisible to a lot of people unless you do something. Nobody sees you. Nobody cares. You become lost in this weird dimension of, we see you like, you're almost like a ghost, a periphery. We can see you, and then you go and do something like this and we're like, oh, now. People attacked him. He's disgusting. He's gross, blah, 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 blah. It's social media. In social media, we love to have snap judgments, and rarely do we find out the stories of stuff.
Torres had just run out of eligible days at a Manhattan homeless shelter and was assaulted on the street. He called his brother Ed in Hamilton for help and wanted to look somewhat presentable before showing up at his other brother Tom's house in Atco.
Were you self-conscious when this was going on? Like, did you feel bad? Like, maybe people will think this is...
No.
You weren't thinking about that at all?
No, I wanted to get clean.
Torres says he asked a transit employee about a bathroom and was told no. So he did what he did.
Yeah. Did what he did. And somebody filmed it, because that's what we do. We film it, and the first thing we do is like, well, we got something here. I'm going to put this on. And next thing you know, it gets millions and millions and millions and millions of views. And he's admitted, look, it was gross. It was wrong of me. It was a lot of things. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have thrown stuff on the floor. And I think you just get that way. We're just living and you're surviving. And it's, I mean, I can look and say it's gross. It was wrong what he did. And he knows it. He does. He absolutely knows it. But you can also empathize enough to go, I get, why. You probably thought you were invisible because nobody cares.
Ed Torres says he doesn't condone his brother's behavior, but hopes people understand he's a partially blind diabetic who's had several strokes and numerous problems in life.
And when he flicked it, that kind of surprised me, but that's Anthony. I mean, I've been around him all his life. He doesn't hurt anybody. He would never hurt anybody. He'd give somebody his last dime.
My question is, why isn't he living with you full time if he's all that? Probably because he had some other issues as well. But it just shows you what we do in the social media world now. The sphere of social media is about judgment. It's about snap. Oh my God, somebody killed Cecil the Lion. Quickly, we go after them, we attack them. We don't understand any of why they do what they do, how they do what they do, but we're just going to make this judgment, these threats. We see something like this and we make a snap judgment, not understanding the entire picture of something, because we feel that now that we have this platform, it is everybody wants to hear the crap that we have to say. And I'm here to tell you, no, probably not true. It's the reason you have 8 followers. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Again, there's just so much. We're inundated with so much stuff. We're just absolutely inundated with so much. It's crazy. And it's going to get crazier. Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent in thoughts and punk rock in life. It's the Chad Benson Show.
So there was a shooting today in Wisconsin. Kind of became breaking news. It was like suburban Madison, and at first, and you know how these things go, right? Oh, there's multiple shooters, and there's this, and and all of a sudden it's everywhere, and then it was like, and 4 people were injured, and the media's like, is there a narrative? Were any of them unarmed? No children? Just somebody who's pissed? Was there an AK-47, an AR-15? Did he have a bazooka? Did he have a tank? All right, we're going to leave now. Nothing to see here. 4 people were injured, though, at a software company. There's the narrative right there. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. We've been talking all day about what's going on with Kavanaugh and Dr. Ford and this whole he said, she said back and forth, and it's now stopped, at least momentarily, the process of him being confirmed and having a vote on whether or not he's going to be the next judge, if you will, Judge Dredd, justice on the old Supreme Court. And it's very interesting when you listen to because it's become right, left, he said, she said, man, woman, and it's not. It's like you put yourself in the situation, and the Democrats then amplified it by playing 11th hour politics to try to throw a wrench into the entire situation. And now it's gotten really big. And the whole thing is there going to be a hearing? Is she going to speak with anybody? Is she not going to speak with anybody? And, now it's becoming a fight of left versus right, man versus woman. The reality, when I ever talk about stuff like this, I don't care what it's about. Can we try to find out the truth in this? And I don't think there is any way we will ever find out the truth because none of us were there.
Of course it helps that there are women on that committee, but you know what? I expect the men in this country and the men in this committee, and many of them, believe me, because we all signed on to this letter to demand an FBI investigation. But really, guess who's perpetuating all of these kinds of actions? It's the men in this country. And I just want to say to the men in this country, just shut up and step up. Do the right thing for a change.
Okay, so why should we shut up? Why? We've got skin in this game, too, because we're human beings, and whether you want to believe it or not, Senator, right? That's Senator Mazie Hirnon. I always screw it up, and I know somebody's going to say, oh, my God, you screwed that up on purpose. You know what? I'm not great with names, so I'll just get over it. You're a jerk. A little bit. The reality is we've all got skin in this game because we're human beings, right? Stop making it us versus you. We're not the enemy. We're not. She put herself forward. Then she was thrust into it. And a lot of times, I'm telling you, you got to ask yourself the question, how much did she really understand about what the potential was for her to be just splashed on newspapers nationwide, on the cover of every website that's talking about politics, from CNN to Breitbart and everything in between, to MSNBC, CNN, Fox, all doing stuff about you, digging into your life, doing op-eds. Did you really think about it? And why didn't she raise the question when she was sitting with him, Feinstein? Why didn't she raise the question? She had the letter. She had it since July. Let's go back in our Wayback Machine. You have June, right? And then July comes, and then you get the letter. And then August comes, and you don't say anything, and you speak with him. And now we're in September. So you had 6 weeks or so, potentially, with the letter, and you just drop it on everybody now. You wonder why people say this is a political assassination. You wonder why everybody says that these are the things that people get frustrated about in cases like this, because you've made it not right versus wrong. That's secondary. You've made it politics first and foremost, and you're using something.
And the issue becomes here not, and this is what's awful for all of us, frankly, who've worked to have women be taken seriously on issues of violence against women, domestic violence, rape, harassment, is that we've demanded that and said and asserted that women can be taken seriously, and they should be. And yet now, we don't know what happened 36 years ago, but we do know what happened in July. And from that point forward, this has been a politicized framework. This woman's experience has been packaged as a weapon. And this is what we've promised the American people as feminists, that would not happen.
Yeah, but it is happening. And it absolutely is wrong. And I can have empathy for it. Now, I wasn't there. And I've said I will turn over my entire show to you for a day, and we could talk about it if you were there, if you were in the room, and you could explain everything and break it down in detail if you want. But nobody else was there except for those two, potentially. Because he said, I don't think I was at this party, or she's remembering something that I don't remember. How many of you out there, honestly, right or left, how many of you out there right now can remember a party you went to when you were 16 years old, 17 years old? Maybe not a lot of you. Producer Phil, what's the last party you can remember going to as a high school age student? We're about the same age.
I went to my high school graduation party.
There you go. I can't even remember because I moved to Europe and then I was playing soccer and stuff, so I didn't do a lot of. I didn't have the normal high school experience, which had some good and some bad in it. And I didn't drink, And I don't do drugs, and I never have, never even had a drink in my life. So, I don't remember it. And I remember everything at that point in time because I have no reason not to. It's not like, oh, God, I was so drunk. I don't even remember. No, it wasn't that. It's just, I don't remember any of these things. So it's tough. People say, well, we shouldn't, somebody just tweeted at me, well, we shouldn't have this confirmation at all until we can get to the bottom of this. What's the bottom? The bottom is you come and you speak on Monday or you speak behind closed doors. I wouldn't do it in public because there's no reason for us to put somebody through that. And then let him answer his questions also in private, because this has, nothing to do with whether or not he's a competent person who understands the law. This is about his character, so he should be able to do that in private as well. And then you knock it out at that point in time, and then we move forward. There's not going to be an investigation. You can call for it all day, senators. Well, we need to do this, and the FBI, this is not their job. They're not crime fighters like you think. They're not like, hey, it's a federal crime that they're looking for. And they've said this isn't a federal crime. So us being brought in is not something that we're going to do. Now, Trump you go, hey, I can order the FBI to look into it. And I said earlier, man, if I'm Trump, I'm getting on the phone and I'm asking somebody, hey, how fast could we turn this thing around? Because it's not going to be 5 years of documentation. It's not going to be like the Mueller investigation that's continuing to go on. It's not going to be any of that stuff. It's going to be quick, right? It was one night. It was a party. It was a he said, she said. There's no pictures. There's no. You sit down and you talk to the person. You sit down and talk to another person. You write up a quick report and you do it then? I mean, at what point do we say this just feels like it's a political assassination? It's a fair question. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. So I don't know if you guys saw this yesterday. I'm going to touch on it briefly just because it makes me just the weird world of where we live and how we're heading towards idiocracy at a high rate of speed. And if you've not seen the movie, you need to see the movie. But it is coming out, kids.
In her tell-all book, porn star Stormy Daniels gives readers a look at her life from a deeply disturbing childhood of neglect and rape to a public battle with the President of the United States. She writes that her first sighting of Donald Trump in 2006 in his hotel suite in Lake Tahoe was shocking. Trump came swooping in wearing black silk pajamas and slippers, she writes. "What are you doing?" I yelled. "Go put some effing clothes on." She writes that he changed and they both joked about his hair. I pointed to his hair. "What's going on with this?" "I know," he said with a smile. "It's ridiculous."
Tell-all book. Oh, God. You think he should get a little bit, right? He should get a cut. Everybody who's making money off Trump, right, should get a cut. Everybody who's turned Trump into an industry. I'm not talking about, I'm not talking about the news people, right? You're reporting on information stuff. I'm talking about people who've turned him into a cottage industry, who are writing books about him, who are writing tell-alls about him, who are I think everybody should get a little bit. And of course they did talk about, yes, the junk, if you will. And I'm like, think about the surreal, weird land that we live in, right? We live in a world now where we've got a president who's a reality show president who has paid off porn stars and strippers that he's had sex with, and they're now writing books about his thing. Can anybody else just wake us up when we come back to tell us when we've landed? That'd be awesome. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. By the way, I'm going to post a picture. Phil, you love airplanes. Did you see Cathay Pacific's new airplane that rolled out?
I did not.
And they spelled Pacific wrong? Spelled with two I's.
You had one job.
Next to each other. You had one job, Jim. I'm not good at that. On my little app, I use it. Never mind. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. The more you sleep, the better it is for you, for your health, for your well-being. Dare I say, the more you learn, therefore the more you earn. Look at that. My Pillow can give you that. How? Because the pillow is amazing. I sleep like I've never slept, especially as an adult, and it is incredible. And it's the sound sleep that I love. It is great. It is absolutely great. 100% machine washable and dryable, made in the USA, backed by a 10-year warranty. They got the little BOGO, buy one, get one, going on right now. Here's the deal. You're going to get one premium pillow, and they're going to throw in another one for free. That simple. Call 800-944-4975 or go to mypillow.com. Use promo code Benson. You're going to get a better night's rest with the world's most comfortable pillow. It is incredible. You're going to love it. I don't leave home without it. I travel a lot. I take my Go Anywhere pillow. You're going to buy one, get one free. Check it out now. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson, or call 800-944-4975. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, ChadBenson. I got your useless fact of the day. Today is Talk Like a Pirate Day. Let's do some useless pirate facts straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
So people are texting in and tweeting in, some of them, people on the left, I'm assuming, say, hey, we should, this should take a year or so for these processes. And I'm like, do you even understand? There is, first of all, the Senate has never taken more than 125 days to vote on a successor from the time of the nomination. So that's less than never. And on the other side of things, on average, some of them, they cruise through so fast. So fast. Sotomayor, she cruised through fast, right? I mean, you see some of these, they cruise through really fast. It's amazing what people think. And with all the information they have on Kavanaugh, they have enough to make. Remember, and this is what I think people don't understand, the entire process of these proceedings is not to see if you're a good dude or a good gal, that you're going to play politically correct on one way or another. It's to make sure that you're competent enough to understand what you are about to partake in, that you understand the law and you understand the Constitution and how it pertains to the law. That is what it's about. Are you a competent person? That's what it's supposed to be. It's not that anymore, as we see. It's far more political. It's not that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Fortnite, well, not only is it causing, as we've talked about before, divorces now, listen to this story.
This is not the sound of a raging, out-of-control wild beast attacking its prey.
Oh, no.
No, friends, that is the sound of Fortnite. There are dozens of videos online, maybe hundreds of people angry, really, really angry while they play the game. Michael Alaperty is accused of threatening a middle schooler because the boy beat him in a battle royale. The message through Xbox, police say, read, "I am going to find you with a gun, you're dead." Both gamers live on Long Island. Alaperty's family says he's going through a nasty divorce. Now he's charged with second-degree aggravated harassment and acting in a manner to injure a child.
Yeah, the kid's 11. How angry I couldn't even imagine. I couldn't even imagine anything. I think Tatum O'Neal won. Well, she's like 9 or 10 when she won the Academy Award, right? Like, at no point in time did you like Warren Beatty was going to jump up and go, man, I'm going to pop a cap in that little kid. No, it just, it doesn't, it's insane. It is insane. What is wrong with people? I said, I look at stories, like the story, in California of this creepy doctor that was like a reality show doctor for a while or something, and the weird stuff that they were doing to patients, him and his girlfriend, they're filming it, and it could be hundreds of patients that they sexually assaulted and raped. And I think to myself, what is wrong with you? What in God's name is wrong with you? Why would you play a video game with an 11-year-old who beats you, as they should, and you say to yourself, I'm so angry, I need to go find that kid and take care of business. I'm having a tough time in my life. Yeah, because you're an idiot. I figured out. I put my finger on it. You're an idiot. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It is Talk Like a Pirate Day. What started out as a joke has become a day of fun. Arr! So I thought I'd give you some useless facts in pirate land. The most feared pirate was Blackbeard, a.k.a. Edward Teach. He used to take ends of what was, to burn the cannons and all that stuff. He'd take the ends of the little wicks there, put them on his beard, and he'd light them. It made him look more imposing, and he was a very dangerous and, yes, a very awful person. But maybe the most successful of all pirates was a woman. Ching Shin, at one time, commanded, are you ready for this, kids? 40,000 pirates, 300 ships. That's pirating right there. That's a fleet. Learn a little something. Talk Like a Pirate Day. Text the show if you want to. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter and that Facebook thing. Have yourself a good rest of your hump day, pirate day. Night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.